What do you do when you hear strange noises in your new home? You investigate or just try to ignore it? One Reddit user, they couldn't get away from the sound of something laughing at them in the walls. Now they're completely paranoid. Also, give this video a like because it really helps my channel grow. So let's get into it. Welcome back, I'm here. Before we get into today's video, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing for more creepypastas. I've been living in my apartment for about 2 months now. It's small but nice with the exception of one room that has no windows and is very dark. This time I leaned against the wall and closed my eyes. I ignored it until the footsteps came into my apartment and stopped outside my bedroom door. They started tapping on my door. I screamed and got under my blankets. The tapping stopped and then started again. I tried explaining what I'd been hearing, but he kept cutting me off and telling me he'd de-set up traps and I should call him back if it happens again. If you guys have any advice on what to do, please let me know. Yeah, our main character is definitely being haunted by whatever is in that one room. Honestly, I don't blame them for feeling that way. Who wouldn't be creeped out after hearing chains dragging and metal moans coming from their wall? It sounds like a horror movie come to life. I'm surprised the landlord hasn't done anything about this. I mean, if there's some kind of animal in the wall, it could cause serious damage or even spread disease. Not to mention the emotional toll this is taking on the main character. Hearing these scary noises at night has completely disrupted their life. I hope for their sake that they able to figure out what is causing the commotion and put a stop to it soon. Do you believe this story? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to hear another creepypasta, click the link on screen now. Thanks for watching. See you next time. I think I should soundproof that room. Maybe it won't be so bad if I can't hear it anymore. Another user wrote, "This reminds me of when I lived in Chicago in a really old apartment building. I could hear the neighbors having sex through the walls sometimes. Loud sex. Not that I'm complaining," another wrote. "I had something similar happen in my basement apartment. It was actually the upstairs neighbor. Their kid was banging around in the other room and I could hear it clearly through the ceiling. I was on edge the entire time. Glad I'm not the only one who experiences this sort of thing. I am going crazy thinking about all the things that could be making the noise. Some of the top guesses are mice, squirrels, raccoons, snakes, bugs, maybe even spiders. What else could it be? Please help." He also said I should sleep in the room to see if anything happens. I told him that wasn't happening. I was starting to feel bad because the guy was trying to help. But then he asked me if I could take pictures of the damage in the room and send them to him. I told him there was no damage, and he said he was gone. Nah, charge me anyway, because he had to drive out here for nothing. I got so pissed I just hung up on him. When I finally got up, my roommate was standing in front of my door, pale as a ghost. She said she didn't make the noise. We looked around the apartment and noticed that the sliding glass door to our patio had been pushed open. All I could hear was the scratching again. I tried to make the noise stop, but it wouldn't. So I stood there leaning against the wall until the scratching stopped. Then I went back to my room. I put the room up as a spare bedroom. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea, because I can barely sleep in there. Even though the room isn't used, I still have to keep the door open, because I and stand to be in there with the door closed. About 30 minutes later, we heard the footsteps on the patio. We ran back into the apartment and slammed the door shut. I looked at my phone and saw that it was 2 a.m. I guess whoever is making the noise only comes out at night, because we haven't heard anything since this morning. Something is laughing through my walls. I thought nothing of it until the next night when I heard the same thing. Then I started hearing scratching sounds too. I was so freaked out I got up and turned on all the lights and checked everywhere. I found nothing. I moved the bed and dresser away from the wall and slept on the floor that night. That was the worst decision ever, because during the middle of the night I heard the scratching again right beside me. I screamed and quickly climbed into the closet where I stayed until morning. I immediately called my landlord and told him I needed an exterminator. He said he would look into it and get back to me. That was 3 weeks ago and I still haven't heard from him. The first night I spent in there, I heard what sounded like chains dragging metal moans. So last night I decided enough was enough. I was going to get to the bottom of this. Got the biggest stick I could find and went into the room. I tapped the wall with the stick and heard what sounded like footsteps inside the wall. I was freaking out, so I took the stick and started banging on the wall. Nothing happened. I gave up and left. But this morning I woke up to heavy footsteps and what sounded like screams in the walls. My roommate, who sleeps with the door open, by the way, said she heard it too. She wants to move in with her boyfriend instead of living with me. So I'm sitting here watching YouTube videos on my phone, trying to calm down when I heard it again. Walked into the room and tried listening. A few hours later, I was on my computer when I heard footsteps near my apartment door. We decided to leave the door open and go sit on the patio. I just got done talking to the exterminator. I'm just sitting here wondering if the noise will start again tonight. I'll update tomorrow. Down in the comments, one user suggested a very interesting idea. Well, this story certainly got creepier as it went on.